Good evening, I am April Agising Lama and these are the headlines of the hour. Talks between the government and representative of the Confederation commenced at Singh Darbar. Opposition alleges government snubbed teachers' demands amidst ongoing protest. Government prepares policies to spur economy while budget-led plans take center stage. Entrepreneurs and employment gain focus on administrative outlines, economic revival. Carney leads Liberals to stunning win in Canada. Trump's trade war and Vancouver attacks shapes historic election outcome. An English club Arsenal to face French giants Paris Saint-Germain in the semi-final of the ongoing Champions League. Match to begin at 12:45 a.m. in Emirates Stadium. Welcome back. Talks have commenced at Singh Darbar between the government, including the Education Minister, and representatives of the protesting teachers. Following internal deliberations throughout the day, teacher representatives have entered Singh Darbar to participate in talks with the government. Teachers have been protesting in Kathmandu for 28 days, demanding the enactment of the Education Act. While the government has proposed a 7-point agreement, teachers insist the act be promptly tabled in Parliament and that the Council of Ministers address non-policy related demands. The prolonged protest reflects frustration over the government's perceived inaction. The discussions held late last night in Singh Darbar between Education Minister Raghuji Pant, high-ranking officials and the ministry and representatives of the Nepal Teachers Federation have moved close to an agreement. General Secretary of the Teachers Federation, Tul Bahadur Thapa, informed that a near consensus has been reached regarding the decisions the Council of Ministers needs to make on the teachers' 9-point demands during the nearly 3-hour-long discussion. He stated that the government has committed to presenting the education bill in Parliament through the Home Minister. The talks were led by Education Minister Raghuji Pant from the government's side, while President Lakshmi Kishore Subedi led from the Confederation. Although the talks were positive, the Federation has stated that the protest will not stop until the conclusion is reached. General Secretary Thapa mentioned that the Teachers Federation is preparing to finalize the remaining issues by holding an internal discussion today. Moving on, the opposition parties have criticized the government for not discussing the urgent public importance motion registered in Parliament to address the demands of the protesting teachers. They also accused the Prime Minister of losing the moral authority to remain in power for neglecting the teachers' demands. The major opposition party, CPN Maoist Centre, along with other opposition parties, had registered the urgent public importance motion in Parliament yesterday. In today's meeting of the House of Representatives, the opposition parties criticized the government for not proceeding with discussions on this motion. Hitras Pandey, the chief whip of the CPN Maoist Centre, accused the government of not being accountable to Parliament. He stated that despite drawing the attention of the Speaker and the chief whip to move forward with the discussion on the motion, it was ignored. The opposition parties have demanded that the Speaker issue a ruling to the government to discuss the proposal they have put forward. Opposition parliamentarians accused the government of suppressing the legitimate demands of the teachers instead of fulfilling them and demanded the Prime Minister's resignation.
सरकारलाई उनीहरुका मागहरु पूरा गर्नको लागि वार्तामा ल्याएर उनीहरुका चाहिँ समस्याहरु हल गर्नको सट्टा सरकार त फेरि पानीका फोहरा अनि लाठी बुट यतातिर पो लागेको छ। दमनबाट यो समस्याको समाधान हुने होइन। आम सांसदहरूले यो विषयवस्तुमा उठाइरहेका विषयवस्तुमा गम्भीरतापूर्वक यहाँ छलफल होस्।
प्रतिपक्षकै कारणले गर्दा हुन सकिरहेछन् भनेर उहिले आत्महत्या लिएर आफ्नो दोष प्रतिपक्षमाथि थुपाइरहेछ कि त यो सरकारले यी सबै कामहरू चाहिँ पूरा गर्न सक्नुपर्छ, होइन पनि यो सरकारले तत्काल चाहिँ राजीनामा दिनुपर्छ।
Even the lawmakers from the ruling parties have demanded that the government address the teachers' demands and create an environment for them to return to schools. They have demanded that the Minister of Education respond to this issue in Parliament.
शिक्षक नेपाली कांग्रेसका एमालेका र माओवादीका मात्र होइनन्, सम्पूर्ण देशका हुन् र सबैलाई पढाउने शिक्षक हुन्। उहाँहरूलाई बानेश्वरको किनारमा दिनैपिछे जुलुस निकाल्ने, पानीको फोहरा खुवाउने र गीत गाउने रूपमा व्यवस्थापन नगरियोस्, तुरन्त विद्यालयमा पठाउने वातावरण सिर्जना गरियोस्।
यस्तो एउटा सामुदायिक आन्दोलनलाई पेशागत आन्दोलनलाई, शिक्षा क्षेत्रको जस्तो संवेदनशील आन्दोलनलाई सत्ता ढाल्ने विषय अस्त्र बनाउने, सरकारलाई अप्ठ्यारो बनाउने अस्त्र बनाउने, सरकार ढाल्ने र त्यसैको जगबाट आफू प्रधानमन्त्री हुने असफल प्रयत्न गर्ने यस्ता चीजहरू बन्द हुनुपर्दछ।
In the meeting, the lawmakers also drew the government's attention to the alleged mistreatment of Rashtriya Prajatantra Party's senior vice chair Rabinder Mishra by the police. Likewise, the lawmakers also criticized the government for not making the property details of the Prime Minister public and ministers and for not listening to the demands raised in the protests. The government is set to unveil its policies and programs this Friday with a focus on infrastructure projects aimed at reviving the sluggish economy, generating new employment opportunities and ensuring completion within 2 years. President Ramchandra Paudel will present the government's policies and programs at a joint session of the Federal Parliament this Friday. According to Minister of Industry, Commerce and Supplies Damodar Bhandari, the upcoming policies will place special emphasis on start-ups and entrepreneurship. The focus will also be on boosting domestic production, reducing the widening trade deficit and implementing an integrated business strategy. Minister of Physical Infrastructure and Transport, Debendra Dahal, has stated that priority will be given to constructing the trilateral road connecting Nepal, China and India. Infrastructure development aimed at enhancing connectivity along the northern border and linking farmers' products to markets will also be emphasized. Of the 18,000 plans submitted to the National Planning Commission, the budget will be allocated only to those that are feasible for implementation.
सञ्चालित अहिले अधुरा अपुरा आयोजनाहरूलाई प्राथमिकता राखेर सक्नुपर्छ। सकिसकेपछि मात्रै यदि बजेट रह्यो भने नयाँ आयोजना छनौट गर्नुपर्छ। हामी धेरै पुराना आयोजना लिइरहेका छौँ, राखिरहेका छौँ, सम्पन्न गरेका छैनौँ। अहिलेको हाम्रो जति स्रोत छ, जति हाम्रो क्षमता छ, त्यो क्षमता हेर्दाखेरि सञ्चालनमै रहेका आयोजनाहरू, राष्ट्रिय गौरवका आयोजना भनौँ, अरू रणनीतिक आयोजनाहरू, अरू विभिन्न क्षेत्रका जुन आयोजनाहरू छन्, ती आयोजना सम्पन्न गर्नको लागि नै पनि पर्याप्त बजेट नपुग्न सक्छ। अहिले मन्त्रालयहरूलाई मार्गदर्शन गर्दा पनि अहिले सञ्चालनमा रहेका आयोजनाहरू सम्पन्न हुन बाँकी आयोजनाहरूलाई पहिला प्राथमिकतामा राखेर आफ्नो जुन सिलिङ प्राप्त छ त्यो बजेट विनियोजन गर्ने, त्यसपछि मात्रै बजेट रह्यो भने नयाँ आयोजना छनौट गर्नको लागि निर्देशन पनि भएको छ। त्यही हिसाबले हैन नयाँ आयोजनाहरू प्रोजेक्ट ब्याङ्कमा राख्ने को लागि निर्देशन पनि भएको छ।
Labour Minister Sarat Singh Bhandari has said that the policies and programs will also include a rehabilitation initiative for youth returning from foreign employment with a focus on utilizing their skills. Meanwhile, Agriculture Secretary Dr. Govinda Prasad Sharma informed that the Ministry of Agriculture has proposed programs aimed at minimizing the impact of climate change on agriculture and increasing the production of staple food crops. Considering the limited availability of resources, preparations are underway to allocate the budget only to products and projects that are practical and yield sustainable results. Now, Speaker Devraj Khimere has urged all members of Parliament to be mandatorily present at the joint session of the Federal Parliament, where President Ramchandra Paudel will present the government's policies and programs. President Paudel is scheduled to present the government's policies and programs at the joint session of both houses of the Federal Parliament on 2nd of May at 3 p.m. Speaker Khimere has requested all members of Parliament to be present in their designated attire for the day's meeting.
सम्माननीय राष्ट्रपति रामचन्द्र पौडेलबाट नेपालको संविधानको धारा 95 बमोजिम विक्रम सम्वत 2082 साल वैशाख 19 गते शुक्रबार दिनको 3 बजे संघीय संसदको दुवै सदनको संयुक्त बैठकलाई सम्बोधन गर्ने कार्यक्रम रहेको हुँदा प्रतिनिधि सभाका सम्पूर्ण मान्य सदस्यहरू उक्त दिनको 2:45 बजे भित्र नै आफ्नो आसन ग्रहण गरिसक्नु हुन अनुरोध गर्दछु। साथै उक्त दिन र समयमा माननीय सदस्यहरूको लागि निर्धारण गरिएको पोशाकमा उपस्थित भइदिनु हुन समेत अनुरोध गर्दछु।
The cabinet meeting held yesterday decided to request President Paudel to present the policies and programs on 2nd of May. The policies and programs will need to be discussed and passed by the Parliament. After the policies and programs are passed, the government will present the budget priorities and principles. Finance Minister Bishnu Paudel will present the budget for the upcoming fiscal year 2082 and 83 BS on May 29th. The budget presented by the Finance Minister must be passed by the end of June and will be implemented from 17th of July. Meanwhile, the House of Representatives meeting held today passed the Customs Bill and the Some Nepal Acts Amendment Bill. Now, in our Public Voice segment today, we have asked in several provinces, what should the policies and programs of the federal government focus on? Let's take a look at what they had to say.
नितान्त रूपमा शिक्षा स्वास्थ्य रोजगारीमा चाहिँ हामी चाहिँ केन्द्रीकृत हुनुपर्छ
फुटकर योजनाहरू नपठाउनुस् सानसाना योजनाहरू चाहिँ नपठाउनुस् राजनीतिक चाहिँ कुनै स्वार्थका लागि तपाईले योजना नपठाउनुस् मन्त्रीहरूले जमिन
जंगल र जलको जीवन उपयोगी उपयोगितालाई विस्तारित गरेर राष्ट्रहितमा प्रयोग गर्ने गरी जनशक्ति परिचालन गर्ने नीति मुखरित हुनु पर्यो
रोल्पा जिल्ला विकट दुर्गम ठाउँहरूलाई सबैभन्दा पूर्ण पहिलो चरणमा भनेको अब त्यहाँ एक्सेसिबिलिटी रोडको लिंकेज जोड्न सबैभन्दा जरुरी छ संघीय सरकारहरूले दिने विभिन्न अनुदानहरू मध्येमा समानीकरण अनुदानलाई बढाउँदै जानुपर्छ
सुशासन नै अहिलेको सबैभन्दा मुख्य जल्दोबल्दो प्रश्न उठिरहेछ यसमा सुधार गर्नका लागि ल्याइने मुख्य नीतिलाई चाहिँ ध्यान दिनुपर्छ
ढुङ्गे पुलहरुका कुराहरू छन् ती कुराहरुमा चाहिँ केन्द्रित भएर र बाटोघाटोमा चाहिँ केन्द्रित भयो भने राम्रो हुन्छ
राज्यबाट चाहिँ लगानी भइसकेको कुराहरू ठेक्का आउन भएर चाहिँ अधुरो भएको योजना चाहिँ लथालिङ अवस्थामा छ त्यस्तो लथालिङ भइसकेको योजना चाहिँ पहिलो प्राथमिकता दिएर चाहिँ गर्ने भने निरन्तर कार्यक्रम बनाउन
युवा स्वरोजगार कार्यक्रमलाई महत्त्व दिएर
It is time for our segment Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion.
Public Pulse.
But before that, let's take a look at yesterday's poll. Yesterday, we had asked you, why does one feel compelled to take to the streets to voice the demands? 56% voted for A, government's failure to respond. 30% voted for B, influence of the crowd. And 14% voted for C, compulsion. And here's today's question. Why does Nepali Congress often experience internal disputes over government and party affairs? The options are A, democratic practice, B, lack of internal discipline, or C, prevalence of factional politics. The voting is on. Type NEWS, select your option A, B or C and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. That is all for the moment. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.